Welcome, welcome, welcome to a new episode of the Speak Your Truth podcast. My name is Laurie, and I'm your host here. And today I am thrilled to welcome Michaela Hafley from TAG. That is the art gallery in Congdon Yards in High Point, North Carolina. Can't wait to see what they have on tap for the fall as far as educational courses, and also talk to her about all of the happenings of art going on around in High Point. Welcome, Michaela.
Welcome, welcome. Michaela Hafley is here with us today from TAG, the art gallery at Congdon Yards.
Yes.
Welcome.
Hi, Lori. How are you?
Doing great. I'm so excited that you wanted to be on the podcast. That was just such a wonderful, notification that I got. Hey,
Well,
I want to come on. That's awesome.
well,
Thank you
you
for
gave us
coming.
a great shout out when you were talking with AE, so we appreciate it.
Well, tag goes way back. It's like, I always looked at tag as the premier art spot, right? And it's always kind of been that way. Even so, just a little background for our viewers and listeners is that tag used to stand for the Theater Art Gallery,
Correct.
or I should say theater art gallery. I always put a the in front of everything.
Mhm.
Because it was located in the same building as the High Point Theater. When Congdon Yards was built, Tag moved there. And I have to tell, if you haven't been, you have to go. I remember still my first experience going in, and I turned around and looked at Jeff and I went, oh my God. I was like,
It's
this place is like sawtooth. It's fabulous.
Yeah, we love the spot. We are so excited to be here because nothing against where we were before, but we just didn't always get the foot traffic that we wanted. And that space was used for so many other things, whether it was pageants or furniture market. And so we'd have to vacate to leave room for that. And so we didn't have any room for a pottery studio or for our painting classes. And so now we just have the room to really showcase not only the art, but the education part that goes along with tag. So that's my component, is the education part.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you do there?
Sure. So I've been a middle school public art teacher for 23 plus years. So I retired in 22. I said, after COVID, I feel like I'm not being as effective as I can be with my students. And it was really funny because I had known about tag and I'd participated in the student art shows and the teacher art shows that they had. And when I first saw it come through, I went, I'm not so sure. I know the space. I don't know that that's where I want to be, when it was at the theater. And then another person sent me the job posting for the education director. And I thought, maybe. And then a third person, a separate person, sent it. And I said, okay, I'm listening. I hear you. So then I reached out to Jeff and I said, hey, I'm kind of interested. And then when he showed me the space here at Congdon Yards, and it was a blank canvas, nothing had been put in here yet. And so we got to design the studio space, the classrooms, the offices, the furniture. We got to put everything together. And I said, yes, this is it. This is what I've been meaning to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I love. So it was really meant to be. It was interesting because I started with tag in January of 22, and we had a preview party that first month to say coming soon. And we had it here in the space when there was nothing here. And then it was a whole nother year before we got to move in. So we moved in
Oh, wow.
March of 23. So, and then we've been here ever since, and I've just been loving it.
That is wonderful. It really is such an amazing space. And I love how, in the back of the gallery where you have the space set up for student artists and for the teachers, that it's such a great space. But then you also have the main show space where, you have your bigger shows.
Right.
Um, and then in the middle is where all the classrooms are, right? It's
Yep.
between. I've even come in on a Saturday. I wanna say there was something going on, but this was a couple years ago when my nephew was playing soccer over at the Truist Stadium,
Yeah.
and we had some time, and I said, "Let's go over there," and so we went back in that corner and where there's all those things you can do. You can draw, you know, you have where you're sitting back in that corner, aren't
Yep.
you? Yes. So lots of things to do back there. So it's such a unique space for High Point, and we are so lucky to have it.
I love it. So as the education director, I work on the programming. We also have Jack Blanchard, who is our clay studio manager. So he works on the pottery classes and the workshops going on there. I focus on more of the 2D things, so the drawing, the painting. We try to do jewelry making, we do textiles, printmaking. We're incorporating some digital art as well with a bring your own device. We have art classes and workshops for kids, for families, for adults. We're doing 4-week to 6-week sessions, but then we also do 1-day workshops. We do a lot of make and takes for the kids so they can come in and do things. And then, yeah, I'm here in the hands-on studio. So, you always tell people when they come into the art studio, don't touch, don't touch, don't touch. And here in the hands-on studio, come touch, come create with your families. We try to change out the stations every so often. So with our new exhibit, we're going to have a couple of new things going on. We've got some mid-century modern coloring sheets that are really fun. We're going to have a macrame station so kids can learn about doing knots. We've got a couple of some like stamping and some shapes to kind of bring out the 70s funk and the 50s funk and the 60s funk. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I am really excited about it. Truth be told, we've already discussed this new show, and I'm going to go ahead and hold this up just so everyone can see. It opens Thursday and runs through October 30th.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you what, I'm so excited. I've got my husband excited. He loves mid-century modern. I've always loved the craftsman kind of style, which is not quite the same at all, but it's the straight lines.
Yep.
And so I'm very excited to come in and see all of this, and I'm looking forward to coming in on Thursday. But um, podcast is going to be live after Thursday, but
Sure.
I encourage you to go on out and check it out. It is a great time. They're also going to be, I want to go ahead and do this plug real quick, if you don't
Sure.
mind. There are going to be special talks. Phil Miller is going to present the history of Thayer Coggan and Milo Bauman on October 2nd from 5:30 to 7:30. It's so funny. I was at the beach this past weekend and we were talking about Thayer Coggan, just talking about the furniture. Then coming up, Peter Freeman presents Modernism, NC State and Local Legacy. October 16th, 5:30 to 6:30. To pre-register for these talks, you just send an email to info@tagart.org. All of this will be in the show notes, so you do not have to write it down. I will put it all in there. But it is a really fabulous show.
It's fantastic. Catherine Drum, our curator, has done a phenomenal job putting it all together. And we've also just kind of learned a little bit more as she's been putting it together. So we have Black Mountain College and the connection there with then going into NC State. And I think it was Buckminster Fuller, who was at Black Mountain College, who then went to NC State, started the School of Design. And then the people of School of Design who were at High Point came back to High Point, brought back their design that they learned at NC State. And then that's Thayer Coggan. It's beautiful. It's all intertwined. And that's the way art is too. It's not just architecture by itself or interior design by itself or painting by itself or furniture by itself. It all connects to each other. And the way that Catherine has created and curated the exhibit, it's really well done, where you can just kind of wind through and just take kind of a little trip. And then she's even brought in current artists like David Baird, who's here in High Point, who creates styles that give a nod to mid-century modern, but they're made now. They're contemporary. So it's his clocks and his tables that are just beautiful.
That is really exciting. I'm very much looking forward to the whole exhibit.
Yep.
So it'll be wonderful.
Yep. And
So
then we
there's some
also
other.
have our art teacher show. So I want to give a plug out to our art teachers.
I was just headed in that direction. I had just flipped my card over to talk about the Education Gallery.
Yeah. So since I'm the education director, I usually try to give a nod out. The main exhibition is always, the star, but then we all want to make sure that people come into our education gallery space, where we typically will show like elementary students art or middle school students art or high school students art. But now we get the art teachers to shine. So it's our annual Artists Who Teach. We have 23 local art educators who are exhibiting their own works of art. They will be for sale. So you can come. The art teachers will be here for the opening reception. Hopefully they'll bring lots of families, family members through up until October 30th so that everyone can kind of come see what their teachers do.
I think it sounds wonderful. And of course, I see a couple of people on here that I personally know, like Yolanda Greer. Yolanda's going to be on the podcast soon.
Oh,
So that's a
good.
great
She's
opportunity to see some of her work, as well as Paige Gleason. If you don't know Paige, I'm working on Paige to get her on the
good.
podcast as well. But she just opened up Studio 136 Gallery on Church Avenue, which I have talked about. I am a part of. I am excited about what's going on
And you just
in
had a show
town as
there.
well. I didn't have a show. I had a meet and greet.
Gotcha.
I did show some of my art, but I have not. I would like to actually curate my own show and
Mhm.
do that. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh,
I
good.
told her in the spring I should be prepared. I'm working on that now. But
Wonderful.
I'm very excited to see. I think it's wonderful to highlight these teachers because, as we all know, teachers don't get enough credit. And
No.
for you, the first time you ever told me that you were a former middle school art teacher, I immediately went back to Miss Harper. I think she was my middle school art teacher, and I think then she came to High Point Central, and this was back in the '80s. So, you know,
But
I only took I always said I never took art, but I only took art in middle school because it was one of the things you had to do.
And that's where most adults stop. And we've had this conversation
Mhm.
before where it
Yeah,
drives me bananas when adults come and say, "Oh, I can't draw a stick figure." I'm like, "Yes, you can. If you can write your name, you can draw." So it's that creativity process that we've talked about. People just shut down sometimes and they just think I can't do it. It's like you're already blocking yourself. Don't do that. So come and just explore.
right. So I want to speaking of that, I want to jump into something a little bit that I hadn't even thought about. But so just for our listeners to know that Tag will partner with your company and come in and offer a
Yes.
a very and I say this because I've experienced this in my own corporate job. Um, this is how we actually met because you came and did a class out at RL, and I showed up and it was so fun, and it was all about relaxing and de-stressing. And we did some oh god, I can't
Neurographic.
think of neurographic. Thank you. I wanted to say neurography, and I was like, that is not a word. Some neurographic art, which I had recently found myself, and I still have it hanging on my desk. And somebody stopped by my office today, well, my desk today, and said, I like your desk. You have all this art all over the place because I have some pieces that I've done. I have a piece that somebody gave me, and then I have my neurographic art up on the board. So it's
Yeah.
just so funny. But I want to give a shout out for Tag because this is something that you can partner with them to do with your office, whether you have 5 people or 50 people or 500 people like we do. It's something great that Michaela will come out and, show you that you can draw a stick figure.
Yes, absolutely. And we've even had groups come here and they'll have their meeting, but before they do their meeting, they'll have a little art making or team building or something that we can put together. We have the pottery studio. We've had groups come in here and do something on the wheel, and then they take that with them because there's a lot of connecting when you are on the wheel or if you're making with your hands, and then to go back and then I feel you're more productive after you've gotten a chance to be creative. Then you go back and you can get some work done.
I feel like when you're creative, you busy your mind and your fingers, and it allows you to decompress. It allows you to relax. I'm big on the energy work. So I'm also with the artwork with that. It also, when you say you're more productive, it is because you're taking away any of the stressors that were there, anything
Yes.
that were just needling you to death. You get your brain busy and your brain forgets to worry.
Mhm. Agreed. Yep. Yep.
So
In fact, I
that
have
is
been reading Your Brain on Art, and it actually does have the scientific data to back up what we're talking about. And they say it doesn't matter if you are proficient at the skill, but doing just some artistic something 5 minutes a day is so great for your brain, whether it's singing or dancing or acting or drawing or whatever. Doing something for 5 minutes a day that is that creative source, it just is so good for our brains.
I love it, and that's
Mhm.
one thing that I do. If I don't have a chance to sit down and draw or paint, I at least have my iPad and do Procreate, and I've been taking a little online course with that, but Tag's getting ready to offer out a Procreate course. So if you have an iPad and have Procreate and it intimidates the crap out of you like it did for me for I don't even know how many years before I finally stepped up to it, going to be an opportunity coming up very soon for you to step in and learn a little bit more.
Yes, absolutely. We've got we're trying to do a lot of different things. So like printmaking, like I said, oil painting, any of our workshops and classes, we provide the materials because a lot of people I've talked with Gail Lambeth, who's one of our oil painting instructors, and she said people are just so afraid of oil paints. And it's also very expensive. Yep. So she does an
Me,
amazing job. When you come in, we've got everything laid out for you. She shows you what paints to use. She shows you what brushes to use. She'll show you how to mix the colors. And it's a follow the leader type of a thing. But that way, if you start to feel more comfortable with it, then it might be something you decide to pick up on your own. And you can either come take another workshop or you can start to dabble on your own at home. So we try to provide all the materials. The only thing we don't provide for the digital art is we don't have the setup yet for all the equipment. So it is a BYOD. So it's a bring your own device. And the Procreate, we're going to be doing specifically with that. But we have another one with an awesome digital artist named DRL Tunes. And he says, bring whatever you're working on. He says he just wants to see your art and he'll be able to help you with whatever tools you're working on to talk to you about your art and your digital artwork and how to make it even better.
wow, that's really cool. I like that. I love how tag has grown and such. You have built this in such a diverse way. Um, I've always seen it as being something that would offer more workshops, but also offer those week-long classes. Um, I used to go to Sawtooth and do pastels with Bill Gramley, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I've told you this, I can only do pastels when I'm in the room with Bill Gramley. Like I can do fabulous pastels. There's my Bill Gramley pastel. The one that I did when I was at home by myself is on the floor behind me and it's way worse. It's just not the same. Like that
Right.
one looks amazing and then this other one looks like I did it 5 years ago. So, they
You
they
need that
don't match and
instructor.
I'm like I need somebody to hold my hand. And
Mm-hmm.
so I love that Gail's doing the oils because I want to dabble in oils. And I've had a whole conversation with Gary Simon about this
Oh,
because I'm like,
yeah.
they just intimidate me.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, I feel like they're always wet and they don't dry. And,
That's true.
I'm a watercolor artist. I dabble in acrylics, but they all dry fast.
Yes, they're complete. Yeah, oil and watercolors, completely
Yeah.
different.
Literally oil and water.
Yes.
Literally.
You gotta shift your mindset with how you're working with them.
Yes. And so I think that's wonderful. So, um, I had a couple of other questions about these art classes. So, have you already started your fall lineup? I mean, have
Yes.
classes already started? And what are, and while we're talking about this, what are like the covers? Like, do you do like a semester kind of class or do you just have different things every month?
So you can go onto our website and there's a couple different ways that you can look it up. You can look by our calendar and see each day like what is being offered, but you can also go into either adults or youth and it'll break it down that way. And then even when you're in the adult classes, it will break it down into just pottery or just painting and drawing or just printmaking or workshops. So if you prefer to kind of just narrow it down that way, you can do that. We're still kind of figuring out what the community wants with our class
Yeah.
offerings. A lot of people really love the 1 day workshops. And what we're trying to do now, especially with pottery, is we'll do an intro class and then we'll offer a longer session. So that intro class, for example, with the intro to pottery wheel, that's a $50 2.5 hour class. And then that way you can be
Wow.
like, it's not really for me. And then we have a hand building class. You might be like, I think I'd rather do the hand building. Or if you fall in love with the wheel, then you can sign up for a 6 week session, which runs about $210. Same with our watercolors. Liz McKinnon does a great job with a lot of our classes. She's our main watercolor instructor. We're doing intro to watercolor classes, and then we'll offer a 4 week class. So if you wanted to sign up for that, and we're still trying to figure out, a lot of people want evenings, but some people still want daytimes. We're trying to figure out, are Sunday afternoons the thing that people want? So we do offer a lot of little things.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so hard to figure out what the community wants and how they want it presented. And, because in my mind, having done classes at TAG, I'm like, yeah, I want like a 6-week class because I want to learn how to do this.
Mhm.
But yet I've done that and I have these pastels and I'm like, oh, they're intimidating again. And I've
Right.
even done like I think Bill did before Tag moved, he did a 1-day workshop, which I think is where I did that in High Point. That's not even the work that I did with him over in Winston. I have it framed on my desk, right?
Nice.
So it's just so funny to me, um, how my brain operates that way. But I like if I want to learn something, I do want to learn it. I want to jump in,
Right.
but I also understand what if I don't like it,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I
Right.
love how you guys have that option. It's like, hey, here's an intro class. And then if you like it, we have a beginner level class that goes for,
Yep.
several weeks. And I mean, the price points are perfect, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing what people, are looking at, especially in this day and time. But one of the girls that was on the trip with us this past weekend was talking about how she had won at an silent auction or something, a couples workshop on the pottery wheel. And she was like, we had so much fun.
Yeah.
I had
It
no idea how much fun that would be. And
it
that's
was
somebody who doesn't draw or paint or think that they are artistic.
right.
And
Right.
she had the best time.
Yep, and we just need to break it down and be like, chunk it up and you can do it. I promise you. We'll hold your hand. We guarantee at least one thing off the wheel. You get to pick your glaze color and then pick it up 2 to 3 weeks later. And it's easy. And we just did a paint party for another group that won at our gala, and they brought in 4 other couples, and then we did a paint your pet party, and we had snacks and adult beverages, and just the best time. So it's just a blast.
I don't think people realize how fun artists are. We like to bring the snacks and bring the wine and
Right.
bring the paint, right?
Right, right. It's yeah, we
That's
one of our teachers used to say, "We are serious about having fun."
right. We are serious about having fun, and it doesn't matter what your work looks like. We
No.
just want you to have a good time.
Right.
And to me, I think the reason when I started painting that I went for watercolors was because I needed to lighten up and loosen up. And there's nothing that is besides pastels, I think. Pastels and watercolor are the two things that I chose to lighten up with because
Right.
I'm so type A that I needed to learn to relax and let go of
Mhm.
perfection.
Yep, same thing.
And
Well, with
art
that
is the
paint
perfect
party
thing, right?
yes, with that paint party, we started with a game where the couples had a piece of paper on their back, and so one partner was drawing, and they had to then draw what they felt on their back, and it was so cute because the couples would hold up, they're like, "It's not the same at all, like, what were you drawing back there?" But it loosened it up so that they weren't so scared about coming in, and then we were ready to relax. So, we just
That's
then were able to have
such
a
a
good
great idea to
Yep.
really I love how you guys are approaching this is to get everybody loosened up a little bit before they step into it.
Yep. Yep. Because people just come in, like we said, you've already put up a brain block of, oh, I can't do this. I don't know what it's gonna be like. I don't want to be there. No, come on, have fun. It's about the process. Another thing that I love being the education director is our outreach programs. So we're working with Boys and Girls Club, we work with Millis, where we're going out and again, same thing is bringing that art experience out. So just yesterday I was at River Landing, the retirement community, and we do classes out there, and we were doing an intro drawing class. So I had our little group do Exquisite Corpse. Have you ever played that game? So
No.
you take a piece of paper and you'll fold it into 4 sections. And so the first person will draw the head and then fold the paper behind it, pass it to the next person. They then draw the torso, fold the paper behind it, pass it to the next person, draw the body. And then when they open it up, it's all this mishmash of, parts and pieces of a body. Those ladies were cracking up. They had the best time. And then we started drawing. So it was just so much fun.
I love that. And it makes it so relaxing because you've already had this fun game where you've drawn these weird things and you're like, "Oh my god, that's hilarious."
Right.
And then you're not stressed out about what your art's going to look like or how things are
Right.
going to turn
Right.
out.
Right. We
Yeah, I
want
think I
high
think
reward, low risk.
Right. That perfectionism holds heavy on everybody, I think, a lot of
Mhm,
times.
mhm.
They want everything that they do to be perfect. Like, I've spent $50. I want the perfect coffee mug off of the wheel, right? My friend said, she's like, my husband was like, make me a little cereal bowl. And she's like, well, it ended up being about this big. And she goes, and it had a hole in the bottom. So, so I told her, I said, she could plant a plant in it. I was
Yep,
like,
perfect.
but you can't have that expectation on artwork because you never know where it's going to take you,
Right,
right?
right, especially with those one-day workshops. Come on, it's all about the process, it's about just playing, it's just having some fun and just kind of learning maybe a new material or meeting new people, so it's all about the community.
It is. And AE had just recently did the pet portraits with the collage,
It
which
was so fun.
I thought that was so cool. I was like, dude, I was like, you got to teach me some of these things because
It
I
was
don't ever think about doing stuff like that. I literally like I have you can see my markers and I have paints and stuff.
Mhm.
I have all kinds of crap all over the place clearly, but I like to dabble in all kinds of things, but then I'm like, "Oh, wait, in paper? I never even thought about gluing paper on paper and making,
Yeah. Yeah,
making stuff."
he's an amazing instructor, especially with the collage
Mhm.
workshop that he does because he just like you said, it's just taking the simple material and elevating it and you go, "Oh, I didn't even know that." We when we were doing that, my husband was also taking it and there was a piece of paper that had like peacock feathers, and so he cut out the eye of the peacock. He cut out the part of the peacock feather but made it the eye of the dog. And a lot of people just don't see things that way, but AE was able to be like, pick out a piece of paper that speaks to you and let's figure out what we can do with it. And it's a blast.
I think it's so fun. Well, I'm really excited. So, what are some of your upcoming classes? I know October in High Point is like insane, but
Right.
what are some of the upcoming classes that are going to start relatively in the next 2 months or so?
Yeah. So we're going to do an intro to crochet, and that will be for
Mm.
artists of all ages. I know that that's pretty popular. We're doing a lot of some kid classes with t-shirt painting and pillows, like learning to sew, so kids can do some simple hand sewing.
Wow.
We're going to be doing some Thursday night adult crafting. That's with Liz McKinnon as well. So that's a BYOB. And then she'll show you different crafts. So, like, one night will be painted totes. One night will be shiny plants, where you're going to do some beads and make a little hanging plant, but you don't have to water it, but it looks beautiful. We've got some Halloween stuff coming up with our pottery classes. We've got a family event where you can come and make little Halloween decorations. We're going to do fall pumpkins. That's filling up fast. So we only have a few more spots with that one. We're going to be doing some printmaking. We're going to do felting. I don't know if you've ever done the felting. We're going to have that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So we're trying to, like I said, we're throwing a bunch of stuff out there to be like, come on, High Point, what you want?
It's so I mean, like, I'm sitting here, I'm just like, "Oh my god. Oh my god, I wanna do that. I wanna do that. I wanna do that." And I'm like, "Ooh, and that would be a fun girls' night," you know? I'm just thinking about all of these things that sound so fun that I haven't seen offered before, which I think is a lot of fun. And I love the idea of doing arts and crafts because
hmm
people do sometimes when they hear the word craft, they just think, "Oh, I could do that," right?
hmm
They're
Right.
like, "Oh, okay. I think I can do that. Let's
Right.
try that."
And it's still
Um,
elevated. Like, it's not like, oh, it's just crafts. No, it's still something you are making with your hands.
right.
hmm
And I think that it gets lost on people that creativity is we are all creative. And here's why. We can
Yes.
make other humans. And what do? We create them.
Yes.
We are all creative.
Absolutely.
So that's always my baseline. I'm like, well, everybody's creative because we do create other humans. So, and that means guys are creative and girls are creative, but and together we create other humans.
Yes.
But with pens and paper and art supplies and paint, we
Mhm.
can create all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah.
it's not perfect. When I started dabbling myself, I don't know if I told you the story, but I would draw stuff and I would put it on my Facebook page. And I had this lady one time that she came on there. I didn't even know her. And she's like, that looks like a 5-year-old drew that. I don't know if I told you that story, but
Ooh.
it was so funny. And I was like, okay, I hear you, lady. But you know what? I decided that I wasn't taking that comment down, that I was going to be the bigger person. And so then I swear, I can't even know who this person is. I don't even know how she was on my page. I don't know anything. But one day she went to a paint class, to a wine and design kind of paint class. And boy, let me tell you who looked like they painted like a 5-year-old. I got so tickled with myself. I was like, see, that was good that you left that comment out there for
Exactly.
yourself.
Yep.
But I didn't say anything because that's not who I am. I'm not going to be
Right.
like, oh, yeah, let's see who looks like a pop girl now. But it is one of my favorite things because it allowed me to step into more confidence in my art.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it was I will tell you from today, my work was very elementary.
Okay.
But at the same time, I was at least out there doing it, right?
Right. That's
And
the
that
important.
is what it is. You don't have to do anything. I mean, I draw stuff sometimes and I'm like, whoa, that is dog. I'll go back and look at some of my stuff that I painted. Like I look at some things that I've painted for people as commissions and I'm like, oh, do you want me to repaint that for you? Because that looks terrible. But that's where I was at that point, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that's what it's all about is, just being open to being creative.
Yes. One of
And
our
I'm
pottery
just really
teachers. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
One of our pottery teachers, with the 6-week classes, she doesn't fire the first piece that you pull off the wheel, but she says, "Keep that because you're gonna wanna see at the end of the 6 weeks where you are from where you started."
That's awesome. I love
Mhm.
that. And that's so true. That should be true for every class
Right.
because when you do start, I'm really excited. Like as soon as we're done here recording, I'm going to hop in and see when Gail's offering that class because I think like you, okay, it's come up enough. I need to look at oils, right?
Yes, you do.
It's
It's
come up
fun.
enough. I need, your guides and guardian angels are only gonna drip that at you a couple of times before they're gonna be like, okay, she doesn't really want to do it, so
Yep,
I'm not
never
gonna do
mind.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it'll be the end of
So
this month in September.
okay, I'm gonna go and check it out right now, because I think it'll be wonderful. Well, not literally right now, but
Yep.
um, I'm trying to think if there were any other questions I had for you. Are there any other things coming up that you want to talk about or share with us?
So Folk Fest is coming up in Greensboro. Tag's gonna have a table there. We have Day in the Park. Tag's gonna have a table there. We are open for social Saturdays. We've been talking with Stock and Grain to see if we can maybe do a little bit more partnership. It just amazes me that we still have people that come in and they say, "I didn't know this place was here." Word of mouth is really the best advertising that we can get. I mean, like you said at the beginning, the space is I tell Jeff all the time, he's like, "You work too much." I said, "This isn't work. I love coming here. It's just such a great space. I'm surrounded by art. I'm surrounded by creatives. I get to do what I love." I'm like, "You still have to pay me, but I do love coming here." And somebody mentioned that the space was kind of how did they put it? It was an elegant comfort. And I thought, "Oh, that's a great way to describe the space because it's a warm, embracing feeling, but still like oh, this is a cool little spot." So we love
It
being
is
here.
it is definitely a cool little spot for sure. And of course, any creative loves being in the art space, right? That's like
Mhm.
I think about that all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I would love to go and work somewhere where I could just, do what you do. I mean, I'm not an art director by any, chance, but I would love to be able to be around art all the time and do that but also be able to have the opportunity to work on my own art. And who wouldn't want to do that? That sounds like the perfect job, right?
Yes, absolutely. We love it. We love
Yeah.
it.
Well, I think that's really exciting. And, I was thinking about this earlier before we connected that I think it would be good for us to have kind of a tag update maybe once a
Oh,
quarter to see
yeah,
what's
we'd love
going
to do
on.
that.
Maybe talk about some upcoming classes like we can hook up in December for the January stuff,
That'd be
or
great.
the winter stuff and then, for the spring. I
Yeah.
think that would be a lot of fun. We can come in and talk about all the things going on because I am devoting this podcast now to our local art scene and I want to keep everything, up for
Yeah.
all of the people because we need to get it out there and
Yes.
we need to be able to have the community see and hear and talk about things. Um,
Yes.
So we
Absolutely.
definitely want to do that.
Well, and Catherine, our curator, just mentioned today that the next exhibit that will be after this one is really about artists and their process. So I may need to bring her on with me so that she can talk
Oh,
about that. I don't know all of it yet, but it sounds like it's going to be amazing about how artists go from here to here.
I don't even know how I do that. Like I can't even like I'm like, "Oh yeah, I don't really do that." Like I'll
Right.
see people, they'll sketch stuff out and I'm like, "Yeah, I usually just like sketch it out and then I start painting it right away." I think it just depends, but I think that if I actually took a little bit more time with it, it might be a little different, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I'm excited about that too. But yes, I would absolutely love that. I would love for you both to come on or her to come on or whatever. I think it would be a great opportunity to share more about what TAG is doing and about the opportunities for art classes that we have
Yeah.
in the community. And especially, I know that A and I talked about this, especially when you have those things going on in the evenings, like those are the classes that I've always taken at Sawtooth because I work all day.
Right.
And I know you have a lot of people that can come in during the day and do art, but a lot of us can't. We
Right.
need, we do have to work at least till 4 or 5 in the afternoon
Right.
and need those evening classes for
Yeah,
sure.
so our advertised hours are Monday through Friday, noon to 5, but you can always check our calendar online, and if there's a class or a workshop, chances are the gallery will be open. We just don't advertise it because we don't always know is the class gonna make or not.
Well, absolutely. No, and I was really speaking more about the classes being offered at night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad to
Well,
see that's rolling through too.
we've been talking about extended hours because we have that hotel that's getting ready to open really
Oh,
soon, and
yeah.
so we're wondering if, well, are they gonna come on the weekends? And if so, we need to be open. So we're
Right.
discussing it. We haven't quite made that decision yet, so we're looking into it.
Well, and you can always, you can always kind of do some practice runs for sure.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Say, okay, we're going to be open one Saturday, evening or Friday evening a month or whatever,
Right.
just for the gallery to be open. But yes, I was really referring more to classes, especially because,
Yeah.
I can come by anytime and see the art, but to take classes, it
Yeah,
would have to
Sunday
be,
afternoons are surprisingly getting really popular, so I think that that may be
that's good.
a time that we offer a lot more.
That's exciting. That's very fun. Well, I certainly appreciate you being on and representing TAG for us today. This has been such a great time. Thank you so much
Thanks.
for coming.
Thanks for having us. It's been great talking to you.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see you again.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Speak Your Truth podcast. We are thrilled to be partnering with TAG and other artists throughout High Point. Stay tuned. I believe we will have TAG back again soon, just so we can talk about what kind of classes they have and the gallery openings that they've got going on. There's a great show there right now, the NC Mod show, as well as the Artists Who Teach show. These are our historic roots in North Carolina with the mid-century modern furniture and home designs, as well as all of the teachers around the triad who teach art in our schools. So I hope you'll join us next time here on the Speak Your Truth podcast.